And I think also what perfect is to other people is different than what perfect is to you. Because quality is subjective.
Hello everyone, and welcome to TFOL Talk, the podcast where we shine a light on awesome teen fans in the LEGO community doing amazing things, and maybe the occasional AFOL too. I'm Doodlebricks, aka Kavi, and today we're going to be hanging out with Matt, otherwise known as Matt Mellish. How are you doing, man?
I am well. How are you, my friend?
I am doing good as well, thank you. So, I'd say let's just hop into the first question, which is, who is Matt Mellish and what do you do in the LEGO world?
Oh my goodness, what a philosophical question.
Yes, very deep.
Matt Mellish he's an interesting person. Okay, so Matt Mellish, born and raised in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, he's a nice guy. He's a nice guy, but his LEGO journey began in 2020, during the start of the pandemic. Well, actually, I take that back. We have to go way back to when Matt's LEGO journey started, because Matt's social media LEGO journey is far different than Matt's overall fandom of LEGO. Okay. So if we go back to when I was 8 years old, my first LEGO set I received at my birthday party, my 8-year-old birthday party. It was the ATRT Clone Scout Walker from Revenge of the Sith, 2006. And, well, the set came out in 2005. I got it in 2006.
Dude, I was born in 2005.
No, you make me feel old.
I'm sorry.
But the truth of the matter is, I'm only 25, and I still have plenty of time.
Exactly. You're a spring chicken.
I only have 5 more years until I'm 30, so that's when life just, ends for me. But
Exactly. No, we all know that life doesn't continue past 30. It just stops there, like boom.
Exactly. I've not had my quarter life crisis yet, so we're doing well.
Good. That's good.
I
Anyways.
got that set from a friend, and that was also around the time that I just started getting into Star Wars, because I was a late bloomer when it came to both LEGO and Star Wars, and just kind of my overall nerddom. I got that set and immediately really enjoyed building it, really enjoyed playing with it, and I wanted more. So I eventually saved up, and I went for the Clone Turbo Tank. Same line, same wave. Such a great set. Then the next year, or I don't know how long it was in between, but I got the Imperial Star Destroyer, which again was a fun build. That one was a little difficult for me at 8 to 9 years old, but it's an oldie but a goodie for sure.
Exactly.
I kept collecting. I was going for the big stuff at that point, but I got everything in between, because I really started becoming a big Star Wars fan, and I was almost a bigger Star Wars fan back then than I was a LEGO fan, but I would say I'm a bigger LEGO fan now than I am a Star Wars fan, which is interesting.
So it's switched. They switched places then.
Right, and they always have fueled each other. So if Star Wars is in a lull, then I'll be more of a LEGO fan, and if LEGO is in a lull, I'll be more of a Star Wars fan, but it kind of keeps itself going. They fuel each other, like I mentioned. But
it's a natural balance.
Exactly. I'm also a big Marvel fan, big Marvel LEGO fan, but recently we haven't been getting a whole lot of good Marvel sets. I like the Infinity Saga wave, but
those are amazing.
Everything else in between hasn't been that good, because I like what's based on the films. I like seeing it on the screen and then buying it and being able to build it and play with it in that capacity. But I started collecting when I was 8, like I mentioned, and eventually that kind of faded away in high school through college, just because I was so busy. I was doing cross-country, track, musicals and plays in high school. Then college came about, and I was a graphic design marketing minor. Well, I wanted to double major to begin with, but unfortunately, over time, I realized that was not going to happen because I ended up doing the Disney College program my junior year, so that significantly set me behind. I was taking 18 credits of classwork every single year up until graduation to try to fulfill my double major, but I was also working like 4 jobs in the meantime.
That is insane.
Yeah, I was a campus tour guide. I was outreach coordinator for student government. I was doing social media with the campus marketing department itself. So there was a lot going on in that time of my life where I didn't have the time or the money to be able to buy a Lego because I didn't want to have debt. And luckily, I worked very hard through college and I have very little debt. So, my advice to the younger crowd is make the most of your high school college experience. Work as hard as you can through it, and it'll pay off. But also, don't forget to have a little fun along the way. I never stopped being a Lego fan, though. That's the difference.
So it wasn't like a proper Dark Age then?
No. So I wasn't necessarily buying as much, obviously, as I do now, but I never lost interest in the hobby. I was always watching YouTube reviews. I was always looking out for what new Lego sets were coming, especially in the age of the sequels, which think what you want about them now. But back then it was very exciting when the movies were releasing. I say back then as if it was long ago.
I mean, it feels
it
like
is
it was
crazy.
a while
Force
ago.
Awakens. Force Awakens came out 10 years ago, almost.
Oh my god.
Wild.
Wait. Force Awakens came out 10...
2015 was Force Awakens.
Dude, I didn't realize it was that long ago. Oh my god.
In 2 years, it'll be 10.
That's insane. I'm not ready for that. I still remember when that was like first revealed in like the sets and like the tie-in game, the Lego game, and oh my god.
Yep.
That's insane.
I went to Force Friday. See, I was still like doing things. I went to Force Friday that year, hung out in front of a Toys R Us until midnight when it opened, and I got to see all the new Lego releases, and I think I just bought maybe one small set. I got like Ray's Speeder because
oh man,
I didn't have that much money.
No,
I was just wanting to be a part of the event. I wanted to be a part of the community, and the best part is not necessarily buying the toys, it's talking to other Star Wars fans and making friends.
Exactly. Real quick, what is Force Friday for anyone that doesn't know?
So I don't think they do it anymore, but back then, and for the prequels as well, before a new Star Wars film would come out, it was the big event where they would release all the toys at midnight at mainly Toys R Us, but it was also other like big box stores, Walmart, Target, etc. I went to Toys R Us because I knew they were going to have them all there. Of course, Toys R Us, rest in peace, is no longer around. But yeah. I think that event kind of went away with the ending of that beautiful childhood store. But unless you're in Canada. Canada still has their Toys R Us's.
Yeah, they actually still have Toys R Us. I think they just opened one like in a mall again, like the new flagship one recently in America. But in Europe, they're scattered around, but they're bought by other companies and things like that.
Exactly. And then, so after college ended, that's where I was brought into social media and pursuing that as a career path. I didn't originally want to do Lego, though, and that's kind of important to note because I was a graphic design student with a marketing background. I was watching a lot of Gary Vee at the time.
Hey.
And this was when the pandemic just started. So I didn't have work. It is important to also note, so I mentioned I did the Disney College program my junior year of college. I did that for 7 months as a PhotoPass photographer in Animal Kingdom primarily at Walt Disney World in Florida. And it was a lot of fun. It was an amazing job. My goal was to be a Disney employee. I wanted to rise the ranks, climb the corporate ladder, and be a graphic designer or a videographer doing something in communications. When I was there, it's really nice when you work for Disney because you have access to a lot of employee emails through the company's hub. And so
Okay.
I was reaching out and networking with a few individuals, which if you're going to do that program, you have to do because that's the only opportunity you're going to have to really take advantage of it. And so I was talking to someone from the communications department, and they had kind of invited me to come back when I would return after my senior year because I was planning on going back to PhotoPass for maybe a little bit of time and working my way up from there. And unfortunately, when COVID hit, I was furloughed and fired from Disney right before I graduated. And then I was at home for a while, living with my parents. But I had my
Honestly,
Lego
yeah.
collection. Had my Lego collection.
That's a plus.
And exactly, I was filming videos relating to graphic design and art. I wanted to sell art. That was going to be like the way I was going to make money from social media. I made one video showing a Lego mock that I had made of a blue jay bird. It was just something I had made randomly like a few years back. And the point was to show people that you can build art out of Lego. It's like a medium in and of itself.
Yeah.
So made that one video, and it did significantly better than all the other videos that I had posted beforehand. Granted, I was brand new to the platform, but it got like 40,000 views immediately. Then I posted another video, like regarding my Lego Death Star, and I had my Lego collection in the background. That got a significant amount of views. It wasn't as high as 40,000, but it got a significant amount of views, more than what I had been doing before. And I saw the niche. I saw that there was a gap for Lego content on TikTok. And this was way back when TikTok just started. I say way back. It's been 3 years.
Okay. Has it really only been 3 years? I could have sworn it's been around for longer.
No, it's been around for longer, but I started back in 2020, and that
Sure,
was
yeah.
3 years ago from now. So, which that's kind of wild to say, I suppose. Doesn't feel like 3 years. But I started doing Lego content from there, and the art faded away into the background. And it was really cool kind of being a part of the early development of the TikTok Lego community, I will say. Because I was
Yeah.
around at first, Epic Bricks. Him and I were, I believe, the first couple. And then people started filing in, and we all started communicating with one another, and it's blossoming into now what it is today. So that was the start of my Lego journey and the social media side of things.
Wow, that is amazing. Like, wow, that is so much there. You've done like a lot of crazy cool stuff. That is such a cool like journey that you went on with that whole thing. Wow, that is wild. Dude, honestly, you like already covered like a third of the topics I had down to talk about.
Well, if you wanted, look, that was we covered the bases. I wanted to
Exactly.
get all of that out of the way and just vomit it. So
Yes.
if you want to dive deeper into anything, I'm more than happy to go into it.
No, totally. We definitely will be diving deeper into more of some of that stuff. So wow, that is amazing. I don't even know what to say, honestly. Like that's just that's so
You're
cool
kind.
like
You're
that.
very kind.
Thanks. That's so cool, just like that evolution that happened there. One thing I do notice that seems to be kind of the common trend, though, is staying within, like, I guess spaces that kind of have, like, a family brand. You know, Disney is very big about, like, family and all that thing, and Lego is very much, as well, kind of about that.
Yeah, no, and like working at Disney was really cool because it created a lot of who I am as an individual. The reason I went and did Disney, by the way, is because I was really actually struggling in college at that point. It was junior year. I was working multiple jobs. Things just weren't going right in a lot of different ways for me. My mental health was taking a hit, in all honesty, just even at the start of that year. So I applied to Disney because I was sitting back thinking to myself, where could I be? If I could snap my fingers, what would I be doing? Or what's the whole point of this college experience? Where do I want it to take me? Because obviously getting the degree is one thing, but you're kind of in charge of your own destiny. And so I wanted to eventually work for Disney. That was always the plan. And I had heard about the college program through a few people who had gotten accepted before I was. And I was jealous. I was very jealous because I really wanted to pursue something like that. And so I applied. I didn't tell a single soul. I didn't even tell my family. And I eventually went through each of the processes, made it past stage 1, made it past stage 2, made it past stage 3. And I didn't think I was going to be accepted. That's why I didn't tell anybody. I didn't want to go. It was just that I wanted to prove to myself that I could. And so then I was accepted as a PhotoPass photographer, which was the one role that I really wanted. And then I told everyone, and everybody was very upset with me for keeping it from them. And I went to Disney, and people were unhappy, but I went, and I lived there for 7 months, and it was amazing. I learned so much about who I am as an individual, like I mentioned. I got to deal with so many different people. I had amazing leadership. My coworkers were something else, but I had amazing leadership who were very helpful and kind to me. They gave me a lot of different opportunities along the way as well because I really cared about doing a good job. That's some other advice to people out there. Do a good job wherever you're at because people will notice and you will rise the ladder. You're only benefiting yourself by doing that, even if people look at you as being a suck up. You're not. You're just doing a good job. And there's nothing wrong with that. But
exactly.
I got to deal with so many different people, and I realized, I think I found something where I was really passionate about what I was doing for once, because in the other jobs I had, I was decent at it, but I didn't like the environment that I was in. There, I felt like I was put in a place where I could thrive, and I had a purpose that was greater than just doing the work. You know, I was making an impact on someone's vacation for special moments and memories. That's the thing about photography. You're capturing those moments, and you're actually kind of creating the moment itself, too. And there's just nothing like watching, a little girl with autism running up to Minnie and giving her the biggest hug, and the parents are just kind of crying. It's a moment that you don't forget. There's something special about that. And
that's so sweet.
I found where I was happy, and I realized what happiness was to me. Disney is the land of finding your happily ever after, but I truly did find joy in that position, and I carried that with me back to college, and I saw there the other people who were just as miserable as they were when I left.
Yeah.
And I was no longer in that place because I knew what I wanted to do with my life. JK, because the world, life, God had other plans for me. And
yeah.
You know what? I'm happier now doing what I'm doing than I would be if I was there even. I really do think that.
Wow. That is amazing. I think you really hit the nail on the head there with finding I think was it purpose that you said and what you're doing. That's really seems to be just the key to life, honestly. It's just doing the things that fulfill you, like you said, and just something of that sort.
I think people are worried about money. I think people are worried about what other people think. They're worried about judgment. They're worried about the amount of money they make. They're worried about numbers. And even with social media anymore, it's easy to get caught up in the numbers of how many views you're getting and stuff like that, because you get a rush when you get 100K views on something. It's exciting. It should be. You should be proud of yourself. But at the end of the day, what matters is that you find joy from whatever it is that you're doing, whether you're making a ton of money or no money at all. And it's about your impact and you finding a purpose in life.
Absolutely. If you're doing something that you enjoy, you're going to do much better at that than trying to do better at something that just drains your soul type thing. It's always like that. I think a lot of people just think, oh, I'm just going to get a 9-to-5 job because it's, reliable. When in reality, it's obviously not, because even in a job like yours, the world can go to shit and then oh boy, I don't have a job anymore. So I think it's like you said, it's always good to just do the things that you're passionate about or make you happy or fill you with life, because you're going to do better at that than something that you just don't want to be doing, even if you think that's the better thing to do. Being an artist, for example. I know a lot of people think that's not a stable career, but if you're passionate about it, you'll make it work much better than working as I don't know, cashier or something.
Exactly. And it's okay to have one of those kind of base level jobs working in retail or
Oh
at a
yeah,
fast food restaurant, and while supplementing what it is that you are passionate about.
exactly.
It'll teach you to be grateful for the time that you have with whatever it is that you truly love. And I've worked a lot of different jobs. It's just the thing is you have to experience the world in order to find what it is that you do like and where
Yeah.
you do fit. Because I don't know, it's very easy to get lost when people are saying, "Oh, go be a doctor, go be a lawyer, go be an engineer, go do this, go do that." And you need to taste for yourself what it is to find out what you like. So,
Yeah.
especially when you're younger, when you don't have the responsibilities in front of you, I have the luck right now of being able to do it. You know, I don't have a wife, I don't have kids, I don't have a mortgage, I don't have medical bills that I have to pay. I'm able to take advantage of the moment and try to build something for myself, but it's harder to do that the older you get.
I see. Yeah, taking advantage of the time you have, right? Just like doing it in the now while there's less things, I guess, to like get in the way.
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
that's really good. Wow, that was fantastic. I'd love to go like to talk about that more, but like we got a lot of other questions to go through. But that was amazing. My God, that was fantastic.
I'm glad. I'm glad you like it.
Yeah, no, it's great. There's like I usually ask like if you have any advice for TFOLs at the end, but you've already given like such fantastic advice already. Like amazing, man. Honestly.
Happy
All
to do
right,
it.
so
The truth of the matter is too, like, it's nice being in a position that I am because I have learned a lot in life, and one of the things that I love is trying to talk to people who are younger or like my past self in a way and bestow that knowledge on people because I had to figure out the information for myself. Nobody told me. So
yeah.
I find a lot of joy in trying to provide whatever experience that I've had because I can only speak from my own experience to other people.
That's really lovely, man. That's a really respectable thing, I think. Let's see. Okay, so you very much answered who Matt Mellish is, but how about a little bit more about what you do in the Lego world specifically more? So you do content on TikTok as well as some other platforms. So can you go just a little bit into that?
Yeah. So currently where I'm at with it is I'm primarily on TikTok. That was where I started. It's where I grew my base audience. The goal has always been to funnel that audience to other platforms like YouTube because I can make more money there. Like, it's not about making money, of course, but it's about being able to sustain this path that I'm on. And whether that's YouTube, Twitch, Instagram isn't really, like, I don't know. What's the point of posting on Instagram anymore? It's a place where brands can discover you, yes, more so than TikTok, but I also recommend not having your eggs all in one basket if you're going to do the social media thing.
Definitely.
So it's important to spread out, go to different places, try different things. I like short form content a lot. It's easier to produce than long form, obviously. But I also am a perfectionist, which is
Oh,
not always a good thing.
I feel that.
So with YouTube, it's been hard for me to continue that and sustain it when I get behind on other things. And so right now I'm at a point where I'm producing primarily on TikTok. I'm also doing Twitch, which is kind of new the past couple months. I had a deal where someone reached out to me and we've kind of started a business relationship in that capacity.
Okay.
That's where I'm going to leave it at. So it's like I'm not just starting Twitch for the sake of starting it. It's a professional
Endeavor.
endeavor. Exactly. That's
Yeah.
a great word for it. So YouTube, I really want to go back to and focus on it full on. It's just hard when you're juggling all the different balls that life throws at you. So I'm also blessed to be a part of the Lego Ambassador Network. I have been getting a lot of Lego sets from them. I'm very, very thankful for it. I am a part of the Lego Ambassador Network primarily for TikTok. That's the community that I represent. I think a lot of people are confused about that. It's like, oh, Matt is in the Lego Ambassador Network. I'm the leader of my community. I'm the leader of my social media accounts. but it's the community on those accounts, technically, that is recognized from the LEGO Ambassador Network. It's the community, not the individual. So yes,
Yeah.
my community is a part of the LEGO Ambassador Network, and I am the representative of that community, which I
see.
kind of speak for in that capacity. So I've been blessed to have a lot of opportunities come to me. I'm not trying to minimize that at all. I'm very lucky in that capacity, but I'm trying to orient my life to do more. So yeah, you can follow me on TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, Twitch, Facebook.
He's all over the internet, everywhere.
Exactly.
I think that's really interesting what you said there about like how you are the representative for your community as well. I think like well, that is like the point of the ambassador network, I'm pretty sure. Like I don't hear a lot of people phrase it like that when they're talking about it generally or themselves. It's like this person is in the ambassador network and they're using that to create content for their community rather than they're in there because of their community type thing. It's interesting.
I would not be where I am today if it wasn't for my followers.
Exactly.
I realize that. And I think a lot of people, not, who are currently in the ambassador network, I'm not trying to rag on anybody in it. I think everybody's doing a good job. I think sometimes it's hard for people who are outside of the content creator world in general to kind of understand how things sort of work. And I think creators are sometimes not the best at being communicative. So what I'm saying is it's easy to create content. It's hard to communicate to people why you do what you do and why you're in the position that you are. So, like, me making a video about a Lego set is always going to do better than me thanking my followers for being around, if that makes any sense. Like, in a live stream setting, it's easy to communicate with your audience because it's a one-on-one experience. When you're creating a short-form video that has to hit on certain things in a very short time span, it's hard for them to understand who you are and why you do what you do. That's the point I'm trying to make. Even in YouTube, I'm extremely grateful for my audience, and I don't say it enough. I say it in my live streams as much as I can, but in my videos themselves, like I said, you only get 30 seconds to really make your point about whatever it is because your audience is going to leave, and the watch time is the most important quality in a video performing well. So content itself, I think, especially on TikTok, it doesn't allow necessarily for you to create the same relationship that your audience might have for a longer form video.
Yeah, exactly. It's much more quick info, go on to the next video.
But YouTube is the same way, even though it's long form.
Yes, that's true. With a new wave of I guess the type of content, it's kind of like if you shoved like 10 TikToks together or more even. So speaking of that, so what is like the specific type of Lego content that you do on, I guess, well, on Twitch you do like live stream building, but like on TikTok more specifically, what's the specific type of Lego content do you do? Is it like mocks, reviews, skits? What do you do there?
So it's kind of evolved over time, and it is currently right now, because of the nature of my time, it's devolved into a couple posts a week. I've worried about here. I guess I can go into this.
Yeah.
In the beginning, I was worried about quantity because quantity allows you to understand what works. Quantity breeds quality. And so in the beginning, it was me posting 5 videos a day, doing whatever it is that I wanted to do, whether that's like a little short form review, opening up a minifigure pack, me doing some outrageous trend. I was doing my dance for a while. That's its own thing.
The mad dance, right.
And over time, I realized what works, what does well, what people like, what is quality, because quality means something different to everybody. But what does quality mean to my audience, the people who see my videos? The FYP, which is honestly, on TikTok, the For You page is just everybody. So sometimes you need to water it down and it's not necessarily meant for LEGO fans. It's meant for everyone. But LEGO
gotta
fans
make it for
will
a
especially
general
enjoy
audience.
it. Exactly. But LEGO fans will hopefully especially enjoy it because there's nuggets in there for them. So right now I'm doing more reviews, just with the nature of being in the LEGO Ambassador Network, not having as much time to be scrolling on my For You page looking for trending sounds. And I think trending sounds are sort of, it seems like, going by the wayside for the most part, where people are producing more organic, original content. Whereas before it was riding the trend, then riding the next trend, and every once in a while sprinkling in whatever kind of video that you enjoy making. But now I've found that I get better views posting a couple times a week with focused reviews-centric videos, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, exactly. Now that makes sense. That is kind of an interesting thing about those algorithms where it's like you kind of gotta, if you want to like really make it big, you gotta like not focus necessarily on your niche as much as maybe you'd like, but you have to make it like basically for a general audience as well, even if you don't necessarily want to. Like it's like you gotta make it for so as many people can understand as possible if you want to have the algorithm pick you up and then keep your stuff going, basically. Yeah, it's interesting how that works.
Exactly. You're not... It's crazy, and it took me a while to figure this out, right? But you're not making content for your audience. You're making content for everybody. But your audience is everybody. On TikTok, at least.
It's a weird paradox.
It's harder to do it in a review because you're focused on talking about the set and what it is. And you throw in bits and pieces of yourself. But I want my personality to be shown through my videos because when I think about what brand is, I think your brand is your personality. How you come across on camera as an individual. Anybody can make a review of the UCS X-Wing. Anybody can do that who has the UCS X-Wing. But how do I do that? And it's in a short form video. It's with me, talking sometimes at the speed of light and rattling off the facts, things I like, things I don't, and then maybe having an element of silliness involved, like with the Indiana Jones short form reviews. I was wearing a hat and an Indiana Jones getup, but like I'm trying to develop that more. How do I show myself in my short form reviews? It's easier to do that when you're doing trending sounds and you're just being silly because you're having fun and that shows through. But in more serious reviews, I'm doing air quotes. You can't see it. But
yeah, he's doing air quotes, everybody.
When you're being serious, you're focused on what the aspects of that set is. You're trying to give people an understanding of if they should buy it or not. Is it a good value? Is it fair? On Instagram, I'll actually do a longer description identifying more key details, things I like, things I don't, sort of like a blog in a sense that I can't do on TikTok. But I want my personality to shine through because notice my name isn't Matt Bricks or anything like that. It's Matt Mellish. It's just my name.
It's you.
And so I've always wanted my brand to be me. I don't want people coming to me because of Lego, like just Lego. I want people coming to view my content for me and to hang out with me, whether it's in a video for 15 seconds or it's in a 3-hour live stream on Twitch or it's in a 10-minute YouTube video whenever I have time to post it.
Exactly. I think that's really smart as well because I think, like, once again, your brand is, like, you, basically. Like, whoever you are that is making the content, you are if you're putting, like, your voice, if it's, like, something like YouTube or TikTok where you're using your voice for stuff and you're, like, a personality, you are the brand. And I find that, oftentimes if it's kind of like, a channel that's more, like, corporate, people don't really get attached to that as much because they need, like, a person to have that attachment to. And it's a really good strategy to emphasize you being as the brand because then, like you said, that gives you space to go off and do other things that aren't necessarily related to, like, the exact thing that you started out doing, I guess. Because like that's something that I've been thinking about recently. Because obviously Lego content is my main thing, but recently I've been planning for the future, wanting to dabble in some other types of content. Because I think as many of us are, I'm a multi-passionate person. There's a lot of things I want to do. So making yourself making you the brand is just really, I think you really like hit the nail on the head there. That is just so important.
Yeah, and like I think of people who have been successful in the past as well and what their paths were. So like PewDiePie, the biggest YouTuber. I mean,
Yeah.
he's retired now. Bless his soul.
Is he?
Semi. He has a
Okay.
kid on the way, and he's
True.
moved to Japan with his wife, and he's relaxed. He's relaxed.
Wow.
So, looking at someone like him, who started from making the horror game reaction videos as he's playing online, and then he did skits for a while, and that kind of led into meme review and everything else. I don't have the full history of PewDiePie in front of me, but you know what I'm saying. He's multifaceted. You're not going to him just for the horror gameplay videos.
Yeah.
You're going to him for Felix.
Yeah. You're going there for
And
PewDiePie, exactly.
his personality is what has driven his content. So
Yeah.
it's not what he's doing, it's how he's doing what he's doing. It's the story that he's presenting. It's you get a laugh watching him. Whatever it is, why it is that you watch him is eventually what will lead to his success.
Exactly. I think another really good example of that is someone who I've recently started watching a bit more, which is Tommy Innit, right? Like he has a similar kind of thing. He started just doing like generic Minecraft gaming videos, and then slowly he gathered his audience. But then I guess, yeah, because I mean, in his username, it is like still like it's not exactly his name, but his name is still in there. So his brand,
Right.
him being the brand, is still emphasized. And now he's doing a whole bunch of things. He does gaming videos. He does vlogs. He has a group channel now. He has like a live show going around. Like these are these people have been able to really go beyond what they started doing because they made themselves their brand.
Right.
And people got attached to them, not what they were doing.
Exactly. But that's not to also diminish that they did start with a niche. So
Yes.
like PewDiePie started with horror games. Tommy started with what did he start with?
Minecraft videos.
Minecraft. That's what I thought. I didn't want to butcher it because I don't follow
Yeah.
him as closely. But he started with Minecraft videos. So they start from a small pond, and then they're able to branch out from there once they've developed their audience and once they've developed who they are online, whatever their personality is.
Yeah.
You will find as well that like this. I guess this is important to talk about as well for if people are wanting to start social media. Whatever brand it is, whatever personality that you are online, make sure that it's authentic to who you are, because if you're playing a character, it's gonna get old. You're not gonna like doing it as much. So
Yeah.
I try to come across very energetic and happy on social media, because Lego makes me energetic and happy. I like talking about it. I'm excited about it. And some days you don't feel like necessarily being as energetic as you need to be on camera. But it's easy to look around you and get excited when you have a whole room of Lego. When you're blessed
Yeah.
to have that. Not everybody does. And so find what it is that you genuinely are. And don't try to pretend, because it'll come across in a way that you don't want it to.
Exactly. I think a good thing as well is like, I think if you do want to like be more of a character, it's kind of like emphasizing you rather than pretending to be someone totally different. And that's what all these people do. Like,
Yes.
I think most people online, they're an emphasized version of who they are. And that's the key there. Like, be you.
You times 10.
But exactly. You times 10. I think that's great. Okay. So what is like the process of creating one of your TikToks like? Is it quicker because it's short form, or is it not as quick because you have to like plan out every second matters more, if that makes sense?
You're asking a very difficult question, more than you might know.
Oh, man.
So let me just begin with saying I know I don't do things the right way. I am not very efficient in the way that I work, and I probably could be more efficient. I kind of need someone to just stand here and watch me one day and point out, like, why did you do it this way? Why aren't you doing it like this instead? I feel like that could be of use to me because I take so much time to do the dumbest things. So, just to be honest with you, a typical TikTok, like, short form review that I do, like, let's say Lego sends me a set. It's going to take me like 2 days.
Okay.
Which is a lot longer than it should. And it's because, as stated before, I am, sadly, a perfectionist. And yeah, it has its positive side, but there's a lot of negative qualities that come with that. So, the process. When I get a set, I want to show the unboxing video. So, the mailman Matt showing up at my door from the moment I get the set through me building it and that experience. I want to show the experience that I have getting sets because I want to take the viewer on that journey with me. I know not everyone will be able to get every set that I have, and I want people to feel like they're having the same experience of getting the set and hanging out. So,
Yeah,
Mailman
real quick
Matt
there.
comes.
I just want to say, I really like that you do that. I noticed that's one thing that you do that I don't think a lot of other people who do like the type of content that you do, like not a lot of other people do that. Whereas like you take everyone through the journey kind of more rather than just saying, here's the set, here's what the set does, that's the set. It's like, it's a bit of a story there and it's really engaging, and like how you dress up and like, you know, Mailman Matt and play these different characters. It's really fun and like spices up the content a lot.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you for saying that. No, and that goes back to you are your personality, right? So
Yeah.
if I can show the fun of getting new Lego and bring people along that ride with me, I'm hoping that they'll want to continue sticking around. And I'm happy to have them. So I get the set, I unbox it. So that's one video showing like these are the sets that are coming down the pike so that people can look forward to the reviews on them. Maybe someone will see that and then follow because they know that I'll be talking about it in a later video and they want to see that process. So then I'll do each individual set that I've gotten. So what was the last video I did? The Indiana Jones set. We'll go with that. So the Indiana Jones fighter plane chase. You'll notice when I do the short form reviews, I film me slicing the box open and what everything looks like from that point on. I'm not just showing the box and then showing the final built set. I'm taking people along the journey. Yeah. So this is where things get crazy now. I will unbox the set and film me unboxing it. Then I will make sure that I have all the footage from that for both YouTube and TikTok. Even if I'm not making a YouTube review right now, I might do it in the future. So I film that process because you can only unbox a set once.
True.
And so I film that process in both vertical and horizontal for both platforms. And then I will stream it on Twitch. So I'm doing the whole thing. I'm showing everybody everything. Then I will, after that live stream, go back to being behind the camera again and take the set apart, do a quick, it looks stop motion, but it's not, do a quick stop motion animation of the set building itself, in a sense, just really quick, because I don't know, it's something different that not a lot of other people necessarily do, and It shows people sometimes how the set is actually constructed from the inside out, and people don't often get a chance to see that from just it being a completed product.
Yeah, it's really good that you do that. It once again makes just like what would be a normal review a lot more like engaging and different.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm glad you like it because it takes forever. That part in particular, depending on what the set is, sometimes can be a real pain in the neck. The Death Star gift with purchase, that thing is just, it's on a stand, right? But yeah. the stand jiggles around everywhere, so the Death Star is constantly moving. So when you're trying to film yourself, like just put a piece on and then cut it, it's gonna look all choppy because the set keeps moving. So,
It
so
vibrates.
people ask all the time. People ask all the time how I do my stop motion stuff, and I just use a ton of sticky tack. So I put it down on everything and make sure that nothing moves, and we're good to go. But often those quick animated, I'm doing air quotes again, those quick animations can take hours just to do. And
Wow.
I'm not in a software pressing a button like take a photo here, take a photo here. I'm just filming it straight through and then cutting whenever the piece is on, and I pull back to make sure the lighting is okay. And then I put another piece on, pull back, and then I'll cut it in between where those parts are on the set to make it look like it's building itself. It's
see.
easier than me setting up all of the software in Stop Motion Studio and everything.
Yeah.
But then after that, I show all of the different play features of the set, try to make that as engaging as possible with things moving around. For the Indiana Jones fighter plane chase, for example, I made sure that the car itself and the plane was moving in some of the shots. It gives it some energy, it brings some life to it.
Exactly.
And then for, whatever the set is, I want to show it in the best light possible, while also pointing out whatever it is sometimes that I dislike, because I think that's important for a review.
Definitely, yeah.
But lately I found that in the short form content, I'm basically just giving the facts. Like, here's what it looks like. Here's the set. For the Up House, I rarely put the stickers on sets, but I had to do it for that one, which was upsetting. I'm just not a big fan of stickers. That's a part of my content as well. It's part of my personality. But, each set is different is what I'm saying. And it's not like always going to be the same process for the review itself. That's what I'm trying to identify. Show off the figures, show off the set. And then lately what I found is asking a question at the beginning of the video and ending with the answer to that question has been getting a lot of views.
Yeah, that's really good. It's like a kind of like bookends, I guess, like as a way to put it. Exactly. It's like a thing that keeps the audience there throughout the whole video, like tying it all together, kind of. Yeah.
The hook is the most important part.
That was it, the hook. Thank you. I was looking for the right word to describe that. I was like, shoot, what was it? Yeah, the hook, exactly.
Yes. So whenever you're making a video, you have to think what is going to generate the most watch time, because that is the most important metric. And so whether that's with what you say or how you say it, sometimes it's just a camera angle, whatever it is that works for you, once you find it, use it. Double down on what works and keep going from there. But there is a formula to everything. You just have to sometimes find your own formula and make it up as you go.
Definitely. That's right. I have to admit, I think that honestly, though, like, you say that the way you do things is, like, inefficient. And, I mean, I can see some of the spaces where inefficient. I don't know if that was a word. That wasn't the exact word you used, but you said, like, what did you say specifically again?
I think I did say inefficient.
Did you say inefficient? Okay.
I think that was the word I used.
We'll say you said inefficient. So, yeah, like, I know you said that, the way you do stuff is kind of inefficient. And, I mean, like, I can see some of the ways where things take a while. But, honestly, I think, actually, for the most part, the way you do that is, like, very efficient, because you're kind of getting all the different, like, platforms and, like, types of content from that one set or something done at once, kind of. So, like, you're kind of going through it all at the same time, rather than just like, okay, we're going to film the YouTube review, then we're going to do it all again and do the TikTok, or however you do that, basically. You're kind of covering all the bases.
One of the things that is most inefficient for me, I would say, is the amount of times that it takes me to do one task. What I mean by that is when I am filming the animation, I sometimes have to do that, like, many different times. I'm not going to say a number, but many different times. And it will take me many different hours to do that. So even like Mailman Matt here, me walking through the door and saying those words will take 10 different takes or more sometimes. Like
to get the perfect one, right? Like, it takes a lot of tries to get the one that you're satisfied with.
It's all trial and error.
It really is.
It's all trial and error. And I think a lot of people think, oh, he only took like an hour to do that. No. Sometimes the voiceover itself takes hours on end because I get tongue-tied and I'm trying to have the right energy to say everything appropriately. And I've said it a million different times. And then it gets harder the more you say it because you're running out of air and it's a mess. It's a mess.
Exactly. And like it can sound weird sometimes. It's like when you say the same word over and over and it sounds weird. It can be the same for phrases. Right. It's like, what does this sound like anymore? Like, what am I saying?
Who am I? What am I doing?
What am I doing here? Why am I making content? Exactly. And then you go into an existential crisis about content. Exactly. You know, as you do.
Exactly. What I have found in those moments, and this might help you or anybody else who's struggling in that, take a second, take a step back, and move on to the next thing, and then go back to it. If you can. So, like, if I'm saying the same thing over and over and over, like, thanks to LEGO for sending me this set to review, and having the right amount of gusto that I put to it, if something doesn't sound right, I'll move on to the next phrase of my script. Because I do script it out, by the way. That's another part that I've left out. After I film, I actually write the script, because I know what clips I have to work with. And then if I need to reshoot, I will. So, like, sometimes you'll find that there's a space where you know that you could put another short clip, and I'll do that to try to fill the space. The more clips you have, the more engaging it's going to be for people to continue watching. So, sometimes I'll cut things out of the script as I go. Sometimes I'll put new things in. But I try to script it out so that when I'm doing the voiceover, if I need to go back and fix something, I can.
No, that's good. That makes a lot of sense. I don't know if you do this, but do you like write down notes about like certain things you are thinking about you're going to want to focus on, so you make sure to get like shots of that as well? It's all in your head?
It's all in my head.
That's impressive.
Well, sometimes too when I'm writing the script, I'll have the set right in front of me, so I'm like, I know what I filmed, I know what the features are. How do I write that? How do I say that in one cohesive way? You know, I used to be really terrible at doing long-form content because I would drone on about the same thing over and over.
Yep.
I invite people to look back at my first YouTube videos when I was doing like a review of the Razor Crest. I was talking about the box for 10 minutes. What kind of insane person does that? Oh, and the figure on top is Din Djarin. This is the appropriate size and scale of the like. Who does that? No one.
Insane detail TikTok about the box.
Exactly. And as a graphic designer, I find that very important. So,
of course.
So, you know, I'll talk about the quality of the instruction manuals sometimes, but I've found a way through doing TikTok as long as I have to shorten everything and make it more concise.
I see. That's really good. That's like very important, like to make things concise. Like that's really good that you do that. That's what I said.
Right. And so with YouTube especially, it's important that you hit on the points, but you move on to the next point.
Yeah.
TikTok, you don't even have time to really hit on much. So get it out, get just enough out that people know what you're saying and can understand it. But also keep in mind that you don't have to say everything. You can show it through the video.
True.
So if you're showing it and you're saying just enough for people to get the idea, it's important to then move on to the next idea that you are presenting.
Yeah, no, I think that's really good. That's something that I struggled with a lot earlier on when I started doing like videos on my channel, which is I, as you did, droned on and on about the same thing. Like I have a video about when the Ninjago Overlord Dragon got revealed. That's like one of my first videos. I talked about that thing for 10 minutes straight. One set. One, like, it's not even that big. It's like, I think it was like a $30 set. 10 minutes just because I was really excited about it. But like, once again, even though I think like it's important to remember that even though you're excited about it, not everybody cares about all the details that you do, which, you know, sucks. But like, there are places that you can talk longer about those things, like podcasts or something like that. But it's really important to get I guess, like the most important parts of what you want to say down. And a term from a really good editor by the name of Hillier Smith. I
love him.
He's so great.
Love his videos.
His stuff is amazing. One of his best quotes, which has really helped me recently, is, it sounds really bad, but it's murder your darlings. And basically, you know, for anybody who doesn't know what it means, is like, you have to take out a lot of the stuff that you want in there if it doesn't serve a purpose in the video, right? Or like it impairs the quality of it. Am I saying that right? It doesn't necessarily help the quality of the video. It's like you got to cut out stuff.
Well, and the fact of the matter is too, sometimes, especially with YouTube, for whatever story you're telling, you have to do it in the manner that best serves the story, not what you like.
Exactly.
And so when you say murder your darlings, sometimes you have a really good piece of footage that you want to use, you've worked hard to get, and you might have said the same thing over 20 different times, and you're going to end up deleting it anyways because it doesn't fit in that video. But some people will try to force it, and it ruins it. It ruins the story. It ruins the pacing, whatever that is for the video. Now, sometimes it depends on who you are and how you do it. Because, like, Jang, for example. I don't know if you watch Jang or not.
Of course I know Jang, dude.
But he can go on and on about certain things, and you don't care. You want to know all those details because of the way he presents it. So, once again, it all goes back to be yourself, be your authentic self, and find what works to fit your brand, which is your personality.
Exactly. And like once again with Jang, his thing is talking for a long time, going really in detail about stuff, so he can do that because that's what people are there for. He's not trying to go for like the biggest audience of get the most people. He's just sharing what he enjoys with other people. So if that's what he wants to do, like he's consistently always done that, so everybody is there for that. And that's what they expect from it. So yeah, it's really building your audience the right way, I think, and like being conscious of that is really important. Because there's an audience for anything out there. You just have to make sure you're doing the right type of content for that audience.
Agreed 100%. And remember, sometimes, like, because I watch a lot of how to grow on social media videos just in general.
Yeah.
And a lot of people say, like, find your brand avatar. So pick the person that you want to watch and make the video for them. Whether that's you, a family member, whoever. I think the best way to think about that is, what do I want to watch?
Exactly.
And take yourself out of the process.
Take yourself out of the process as in, like, what do you mean by that exactly?
So, like, rewatch the video not as the creator, but as a viewer.
I see what
which
you're saying.
Which is hard
there.
to do. It's
It
very
really
hard
is.
to do.
And like not being like, you know, I'm a perfectionist when it comes to that stuff too. So it's so hard. Like when you want to tweak like the tiny details of your video, like that was like half a second off from what I wanted it to be. But like you gotta not do that. Like I do that. It's so bad. I do things down to like the seconds. It's horrible.
I am the same exact way. Exact same way, man. And the truth of the matter is, for me, my perspective on it is, why wouldn't I fix something that I know I can in a second? But sometimes it ends up taking a lot longer than expected.
Yeah.
And no one else is going to know.
Exactly. And it all adds up as well. So the more times you do that, the longer it takes. So
Right.
Yeah, right. It's so hard not to. But like when it comes to really small stuff, like things that are just like half a second off or something, it's like, honestly, nobody's going to notice that. Like nobody is. So
I rewatch my videos in Premiere like 20 times before I end up posting.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to line everything up just the right way, because if I rewatch it, it's going to bother me forever. And I think what I've noticed recently too is sometimes I hold content creation as being too sacred. It sounds really weird, but what I mean by that is, like, when you post something, it's on the internet forever. It's a part of you. It's part of your digital identity in a sense. And so if I'm putting it out there, I want to put out the best that I possibly can. And I want it to be nothing's perfect, but as perfect as it can be. Because if I go back and rewatch it in a year, I want to still be proud of it in a sense.
Yeah.
But the truth of the matter is that no matter how many times you do that, no matter how many times you go back and try to fix and tweak, it's not going to necessarily impact it in the same manner that you might think in that moment.
Yeah, no, exactly. You gotta pick and choose the stuff that you tweak and just kind of accept the fact that other people aren't looking at it with like the editor's eye that you are. So yeah, it's
Yes.
difficult, but I think it helps a lot in the long run.
And I think also what perfect is to other people is different than what perfect is to you, because quality
Definitely.
is subjective.
Absolutely. No, that's really like good insight, I think. Very important. What kind of like inspired you to start doing content on TikTok specifically? And also, may I ask what your following on there is?
What my following is in terms of the numbers of who are following me.
Yeah.
Okay. So currently I have roughly 733,000 followers, somewhere
Wow.
like that, in the ballpark of 730,000. It fluctuates from time to time. And in the beginning it was growing a lot faster than it is now. There was a time on TikTok when you could go live for an hour and you would exit out of the app and go back in and you'd have 2,000 more followers or more.
Oh, damn. That is
Those were the
crazy.
days. So that's why I decided to pursue TikTok. I started watching a lot of Gary Vee right before the pandemic hit, right before COVID, right before I lost my job and everything happened. I was watching a lot of Gary Vee, and I had just kind of gotten into it, and I loved marketing. I loved social media. I was studying it in college, and I knew that in order to grow a business, as I mentioned, I wanted to do art to begin with. To grow a business, you needed to have proper advertising. And so, if I was making art that I was posting to social media and I was developing a brand around that people enjoyed watching my content from, I could get a substantial amount of people to buy my art. Obviously, it turned into something else.
A
But
different kind of art, exactly.
exactly. And I still love the art of producing videos itself as well. Like I've always loved photography, I've always loved videography, so that in and of itself as a workflow is a lot of fun for me. But Gary Vee was the one who really turned me on to TikTok as a platform, particularly because it was kind of new at the time. It was as it was getting more well known. COVID is what really propelled the platform forward because everybody
Yeah.
was locked inside their houses, scrolling for hours on end. They didn't have anything else to really do. So I was producing TikToks 5 a day at that point because I was learning how to produce videos, and it was a platform that you could grow very quickly on through what's called organic reach, which is the ability to be discovered without already having an existing following or using ads to promote your video. So
Okay.
organic reach is free. It's not like Facebook ads where it's paid to play. Um, YouTube has organic reach, but it's not as good as TikTok. Instagram Reels has good organic reach, probably just as good as TikTok.
Yeah.
But
I've
TikTok in the beginning was a lot better than it is now. It's getting harder because it's more oversaturated.
Yeah, I've heard it's a really good place for like, well, at least was. I don't know if it still is now, but I heard that it was like a really good place to grow your audience because I feel like I've heard that it doesn't do that as much anymore, but from what I heard it like really boosts like your first video, like it gets it out to just a ton of people. And then if you follow up that video with like other good stuff, then it will keep you going for a while basically.
Double down on what works.
Yeah, exactly.
It it does it so it sometimes feels like it promotes your first couple videos to get you addicted to it. I
That
don't
yeah.
know.
I
I
think
don't know
that's
what the
probably it.
validity I don't know what the validity of that genuinely is, but it's what happened to me. I mean, it was the fifth or sixth video I've posted that did well, and I doubled down on what works because my followers that I gained from that video were there for Lego content, and I was still doing a little bit of art from time to time, but then I just went whole hog into my collection and showing it off and buying new Lego sets and the excitement surrounding new releases. That's what sort of grew my account
Yeah.
alongside just the excitement of having this new community, this new Lego community on TikTok. Because the truth of the matter is, you want to go, once again, where you fit in and where the eyes are. So, like, if you see a gap in something, you want to utilize that to your benefit. There was not a lot of Lego content on TikTok when I started. I was one of the first, and by doing that, it allowed me to grow to the point that I am now. So,
yeah,
be an innovator.
exactly. Being innovative and filling that gap in content is like seems to really be the key to like success, because once again, before there wasn't like a lot of like, you know, proper Lego content on TikTok. I mean, I'm not on TikTok. Like, I literally can't even access the site. Like, I kid you not.
Oh, no.
It's not because of like restrictions for like parental or anything like that. No device that we own will literally allow us to go to the TikTok website. Like, they are blocked on everything. It's a little freaky. Anyways,
That's
though.
strange. The positive side of my content is that I post all of my TikToks, usually, lately I have been at least, on Instagram and often YouTube Shorts as well. So if you don't have TikTok, you can find it elsewhere.
Exactly. That was a lifesaver for me. I was like, Matt posts his TikToks on there. Let me just look on his Instagram.
Not all of them, because sometimes some TikToks don't work well on other platforms.
That's
You know,
interesting.
that is a hard thing to juggle nowadays too. It's like sometimes I feel like I'm making content for TikTok and not for YouTube Shorts or Instagram Reels.
That's
Even though I'm
interesting.
posting it everywhere. And sometimes if I make a video, I haven't really, but sometimes I do. For Instagram or for YouTube, knowing what the audience wants on those platforms, sometimes they'll do better there and not on TikTok.
That's
So,
interesting.
like,
So, yeah, sorry.
each platform wants its own thing, and they're different communities. They're not the same. And I think that's the key distinction that a lot of people can't make, because my TikTok community is on TikTok. They have different preferences than the folks on Instagram Reels who like a certain aesthetic or a vibe in a video.
Yeah.
Whereas YouTube, it seems like it's kind of a mixture of the two.
Yeah, everything's copying each other at this point. It's kind of hard to tell sometimes, but that's really interesting what you said there. And I didn't really think about that much, but it's like you can make the same type of content that is made to go on different platforms, but it still might not do as well because there's different audiences there. It's like on Brad's episode, you know, since he's a social media coordinator, he mentioned that your audiences don't cross over from platforms as much as you'd think they do. So it seems like it's something like that. Like, that's so interesting.
And the thing is, the people who are really successful will be able to make content that does well everywhere. If you look at someone like Mr. Beast or someone in the Lego community like Emma Soros, she makes content that fits every platform. I don't know exactly what it is for me, because it's something different for every brand, every personality, that like will enable you to be more successful in that sense. But I'm working on it. That is something that I have in the back of my mind always, is like, how can I make this work for every platform, not just on TikTok?
That's really good. That's a really good thing to keep in mind. And I think that seems like a really big key to success as well, being able to know your markets on different platforms, I guess.
Know who you're talking to.
Exactly. All right. So I think now we can go into some viewer submitted questions. So let's do the first one is from Ninja_Bricks, who says, "Hi Matt, love your content. What's your favorite non-licensed Lego theme?"
What is my favorite original Lego theme? Does Ideas count?
I don't think so. Like Lego's original IPs, so things like Ninjago, Atlantis, Adventurers. You don't. From what I know, you don't dabble much in that, do you?
I don't. And the truth of the matter is, so I like to buy what I'm a fan of. I'm a Star Wars fan. I'm a Marvel fan. I'm a Pirates of the Caribbean fan. I'm a Disney fan. I'm an Indiana Jones fan. And when you only have so much money, it's like I want to buy things that I'm a fan of already. And obviously, I'm blessed to be in the LEGO Ambassador Network once again, and I get sets sent to me that I wouldn't normally buy, which is amazing to be able to branch out and find other things that I wouldn't necessarily on my own.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'm not much of a Ninjago fan. I only own one small poly bag. That's not to say that Ninjago is a bad theme, or I think it is at all. It's just I don't have all the money in the world to be buying a lot of Ninjago. The other thing is, too, like, if I started buying modulars, for example, and I went down that path, I'm going to not be able to buy as much Star Wars stuff or other things that I would normally buy because I'm going to get locked into a cycle of buying a different line. You know what I mean? Like, once you buy one, you're going to want to buy more. So if I buy one modular, I got to buy every one that comes after that. And
you got to build your city. Exactly.
And so I don't want to lock myself into new themes. Sometimes I get worried that I would do that. But you know what? I do like some of the older stuff. So for now, I'm actually going to say Classic Space.
Classic Space, okay.
Not that long ago, probably a year ago, I got a small Facebook Marketplace haul of some Classic Space sets. And I put them together and I'm like, these are really cool.
Right?
I like Castle as well, but I'm not into it obviously as much as Brad is.
No, it's hard to overtake Brad in love for Castle.
Right, so I'm not even going to pretend. I like Classic Space. I like the fact that those sets are so simplistic and there's a lot of creativity that can be drawn from them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's like the old Star Wars sets. When you look at the old 1999 Anakin's Pod Racer, it doesn't have as much detail in it. But when you look at it, it's still Anakin's Pod Racer. And then you can tear it apart and make something else. Yeah. Whereas nowadays, it's hard to do that. Because a lot of the pieces are geared towards what that specific model is that the designers want you to make. And so for the Classic Space sets, what I like about them is that when you look at them, you're kind of seeing them in a different way than what other people would. So, like, how do I explain this? When you see an old Classic Space set with the engines coming out of the bottom and they barely have a handlebar piece for them to grab onto, you might see that in a different way creatively than I'm seeing it as like a fully fleshed out model. Do you know what I mean?
I think what you're getting at is like one person could say, oh, that's incomplete and basic, whereas someone else could say, no, but that's fun and it's like charming and more creative kind of. Is that what you're saying?
Right. And so like if you look at an old Classic Space set like the Moon Buggy set 6801,
yeah,
it has, what is that megaphone looking thing coming off the side? It looks like a speaker.
Yeah, I know the piece you're talking about. The piece like they used to use for like the old Star Wars blasters, right?
No. Well, that might be a part of it too. Maybe. It's a piece with 3 different spokes coming out of the side.
Okay. Oh, yes. I know what you're saying, yeah. It's like on a brick, right?
Right. What I like about the Classic Space sets is that they use strange pieces that other sets wouldn't normally in unique and interesting ways that give it a lot of flair from a visual place that people will view in different ways. So, for instance, the set 6801, the Moon Buggy, it has an antenna coming off the back with a control panel that is under it. It's got a piece coming out the side that looks like a speaker. I have no idea how that operates in universe, right? So I might look at that and play with it in a different way than someone who sees it from an alternate perspective. Maybe I see that antenna as being a long range or a short range communications array, whereas someone might take it in a different route and think that it's, I don't know, sonar, sonar system of some kind. Like the speaker piece, maybe it has an in-universe use for playing music or something. Like,
exactly.
What I'm saying is,
Moon Disco Party.
You can play with the sets however you would like, rather than having a detailed set where you can see everything for what it is and you don't have a creative understanding of how it might. How do I say that?
There's room for creative interpretation, right? Like, is that what you're getting at?
Yes, exactly. Basically.
I think that's something that's actually, like, I didn't think about that much, but honestly, you make a really good point there. That is something that I think original Lego themes have kind of lost. And one thing that I've always said is that like I feel, and I bring this up in like my latest video, small plug, about Monkey Kid and how it succeeded, where basically I feel like what a Lego theme needs to succeed is to have a show of some sort like that, or something like Bionicle where it has a deep story or something to keep people engaged.
Yeah.
But I will admit that honestly, having the complete opposite of that as well, like with Classic Space, where there is literally no story at all, it's all up to your creative interpretation, does have a lot of merits as well. Like, that is kind of what made Lego successful then. Because you could just do whatever the hell you wanted with it. You didn't have to follow a story. It was just like, there are people on space, that's all you know. Make it up from there. And then they slowly introduced like more factions, but there was still no like set story.
Yes. You said it perfectly with creative interpretation, because not only can you build the set that the instructions give you, but you can create your own thing very easily. Whereas nowadays, when I look at something like Ninjago or Monkey Kid, all of the story is there in the set. They give everything to you, and it's hard to recreate something of your own with it. Whereas with Classic Space, you can be more imaginative with the parts that you're given. Even though they might be few or basic, you can see it in your mind's eye playing with it in a different way than someone else might.
Yeah.
We can all have our own different experience with it, with the pieces that they give us.
Absolutely. And I didn't actually think about that, but that is something that has changed a lot with Lego like then compared to now, which is granted they're still good at like not making too many specialized pieces, but the pieces have gotten more complex, meaning you have to kind of know how to put them together more. Whereas before it was a lot easier to just mix and match things and make them work. Whereas now you buy one set, and granted you can make like alternate builds and stuff, but it takes more skill to do that, right? So like it's so weird from this perspective, because now obviously I'm older and I do mock building, so I love it when Lego makes like new weird funky pieces or like specifically specialized ones, because I'm like, that's so cool. But for a younger kid who doesn't have as much of a collection or something, that can also be difficult because it's too specialized. And that's an issue I have with I think Mega Blocks or Mega Constructs or whatever the hell they're calling themselves now. Like, that's kind of one of their pitfalls, is that they, and one thing I don't like about them is that they have way too like specialized molds that like can hardly be used for anything else. And it's really like, I've seen some of those sets before and I'm just like, that's too many specialized pieces, right? Like, you could have figured that out with something else. You didn't need to make a specific piece just for that.
Right. And even like, so one thing that I know a lot of other people say, I think Mini Superheroes Today, Jonathan was the first that really like brought this to my mind, is looking at Lego as a product. If you don't like whatever the set is that you buy, maybe you don't like the build or the design, it's okay to be able to mock it or build something different with it.
Yeah.
But I look at something like the Hulkbuster, like the big Hulkbuster.
Oh, the UCS one, yeah.
And I'm like, what would I do with those pieces? What could I make on my own? With those large sets like that, I'm looking at the UCS X-Wing right now. I'm thinking like, if I was to build something else out of that set, because it's so big, what would I build? Like,
true, but
it's getting to the point where it's more of a model and not a toy.
Yeah, but I mean, to be fair though, the sets that you gave examples of aren't meant for like kids either. Like, those are the model sets. Like, they're not meant for like a kid to play with them. But I do see what you're saying there.
My point is, what I like about Lego is the ability to be creative with the sets.
Yeah.
And the model making for AFOLs. I like. They're great displays. It brings new people into the fold who might not normally be a Lego fan. But I like the creativity of Lego and how they are able to create different things just using bricks. It's also why I'm not a big fan of stickers. I think it's cheating.
Yeah.
So I really like the fact that Lego is something like, okay, look at brickheads compared to Pops. Brickheads, you have an experience where you're putting a set together and you're able to create something else if you wanted to with those pieces. You can throw them in your parts collection or whatever. A pop, you get it and you put it on display, and that's the experience that you have with it. It's not as... I mean, there's the whole hunt of finding the item as well, which a lot of people enjoy.
Yeah.
It's like about just collecting in general. But you can have the same experience with Lego where I'm looking for that battle pack or whatever. So I
Mr.
like
Gold.
the idea of... I like the idea of looking at a set as a design, but then being able to take the parts and do something else with it, because that's something that only Lego, well, and other building block companies, but mainly Lego allow for. Right.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
so that's why I'm saying I'm not as big of a fan of the 18 plus models, which is something that a lot of people don't say. I think they're cool, don't get me wrong, and I love building them. But at the same time, there's something else. It's not necessarily the same idea as what Lego originally set out to be.
Yeah, no, exactly. It's kind of like, I mean, that's why I enjoy it so much. And, you know, like when people ask, like, why Lego? And I say it's because, like, you know, if I wanted to build, like, you know, a samurai robot mech thing, if I wanted to make that, I'd have to say maybe learn like 3D printing and do all that kind of thing and modeling, and that's kind of the only way I could bring that to life. Or I could just grab my bricks and make it. I am actually making that. But anyway,
Nice. That's hilarious. I love that.
For example, you can make all that stuff as long as you have like a decent amount of bricks. You can make whatever the hell you want. And I know everyone says that, but like it's really the idea of Lego's old slogan, you know, a new toy every day. Like that's the epitome of it basically. It's like it's beyond what's in the box, right? So you can make whatever the hell you want. You don't have to learn some really difficult skills to do it. Just mess around with your bricks and you can create anything that you want within the limitations of Lego, which are honestly people are pushing them, but yeah, basically you can create anything like that and it doesn't have to just stick to the model. I'm just describing what Lego is now at this point, but yes, basically that.
No, you're right though. And I think it's important to identify that though, because a lot of people lose sight of it when they see, I don't know, a $700 Imperial Star Destroyer or an $850 UCS Millennium Falcon. Like that, I don't want Lego to become a premium collectible product that sits on a shelf forever. Granted, that's what I have, but for the most part,
yeah,
I want it to be something that can be enjoyed being played with by everybody of all ages, no matter who you are. And I'm afraid, who knows if I should be saying this or not, but like, I'm afraid that it's becoming something just for adults or for people who can't afford it. So like when you go to a Lego store and you see a wall of black boxes, it's a little intimidating sometimes for an 8-year-old kid who's just getting into Lego. And that's what is starting to concern me.
I think that's a really valid concern, and I think Lego's trying to find their footing again with making the right balance between like kids stuff and adult stuff and kind of that whole in-between thing with, you know, TFOLs and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
They're not great at marketing to TFOLs, but I digress. Yeah, like they're kind of trying to find their footing in it, I guess, and hopefully they've gone really far with like the adults welcome thing and all that now, so hopefully they can find a happy medium where it's like enough adult sets or just make sets that cater to all audiences, right? That aren't specifically kiddie but also look really good on a shelf. Like you can do that. So I think it's about finding that sweet spot, I guess. It's like what Ethan has said on the Stud Buds podcast, or the Stud Buds show, I should say, like they need to have a campaign, kids welcome now. It's like they need to reverse it basically.
I was just going to bring up that point too.
Yeah.
No, and he's so right by saying that, because we've gone far enough in this direction. And look, I get it. When you bring the Little Mermaid set home for, I forget exactly how much it is, 160, 150, around that price.
Yeah.
But when you bring that home as an adult, you might have bought it and you get to build it with your kids or your family or whoever. It can be an experience for everyone. But at the same time, there's something about Matt buying the, at the time, $400 Death Star as a kid and being so proud of being able to like work up the money to go to the store and get it and appreciate it by knowing the value of $1.
True.
From every set that comes out being between $150 plus dollars, well, $150 to $250 plus. That's intimidating. That's scary. I look at Star Wars, look at the past wave, and I see the Mandalorian Snub Fighter, the Fang Fighter versus TIE Interceptor. Were there any others that just released on May the 4th that were playsets? I think those were the only two.
Oh, that's not good when you put it like that. Like, jeez, I didn't think about it that way. I guess now, since I'm exiting the stage of like being a kid, I'm not noticing that as much now because I guess I got caught in that fortunate spot of like I was really on it with like the more kid stuff when I was at that age, and now they're really on it with the more advanced stuff. So I guess I haven't noticed it as much. But you're right there, honestly. Like, I never thought about that. It's an interesting topic, honestly, and like, I think it's a thing that a lot of people are thinking about, and LEGO, I think, really needs to listen to the AFOLs themselves saying, hey, that's enough, thank you. Like, yeah, this year with all the releases, oh my god, I have nowhere near enough money for everything that I want to get.
Even me as an AFOL, even you as a TFOL,
yeah,
we're the biggest LEGO fans. We're on a LEGO podcast right now.
Exactly.
And it feels overwhelming to me, let alone if I was just starting to get into the hobby as a kid.
Absolutely.
That's something that I think LEGO needs to be careful about, is what I'm trying to identify. I'm not saying that they're doing a bad job. I'm saying that because look, I just built the UCS X-Wing. I loved it. It was a fun set to build. It had a few problems that I didn't necessarily like, but it looks great on display, and as a big Star Wars fan, I love looking at it, and it brings me joy every time when I see it on my shelf. It's not to be diminished, but as a kid, I don't know if I would feel the same.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to put myself into another perspective, and I think it would be more special if we got fewer large sets that more people had access to, rather than throwing things out and seeing how they do. Because that set, it felt rushed. I don't know if it was, but it felt rushed.
That's a fair point. I think if there's anybody who works at LEGO listening to this, please take notes. Please. I don't know if you do. If you do, hi, that's really cool. But like, please take notes. But yeah. Now, I meant to ask Brad about this when he was on the episode, but we got so engrossed in like original themes and all that kind of thing that I completely forgot about that. So I want to make sure I bring this up with you. You are part of the Stud Buds show. So for anybody who doesn't know, what is the Stud Buds?
I'm trying to figure that out every week when we do the show. The Stud Buds is a group of 4 friends in the LEGO content creating space. Myself, Ethan the Artisan, who's also a Season 3 LEGO Masters extraordinaire.
Exactly.
Breaking Up Brad is a big Castle original LEGO themes fan, and Black Studios, who is now going to be a dad.
That is so cool. So congratulations to Zane.
Yes, indeed. Zane's got a lot of responsibilities where we don't, because he's a little bit older, he's married, and so, you know, Zane's been on this wild ride with us, and he's doing well. But
that's good.
It's been a journey for the last 2 going on 3 years now, doing this live show with them on YouTube. If you want to call it a podcast, I guess you could. It's mainly geared towards, what's the exact opposite of a podcast?
A TV
when
show?
You're watching it live.
I don't know.
On-screen viewer.
It's like a YouTube talk show, kind of. Like, not talk show. I guess.
Well, that's a podcast is audio only. Well,
it's a video podcast. It's a video podcast show thing. Yeah.
It's mainly geared towards visual viewability, but we do offer the podcast version on Spotify and Apple and all those other places. But it's better to be watching it actually, not to just be listening, because we're showing a lot of what we're talking about. So if there's a new set that comes out, we'll be covering all the details, what we like, what we don't. Do we think it's a good value? What would we recommend? Seems like that's what people like. For a while, we were doing different segments where we would go back and forth between what mocks are new in the community that people have made and that we really like. We'd be hosting trivia time. Zane was in charge of that segment where we would all compete against one another with the chat as well, and he'd be throwing out Lego trivia questions, and it was fun. But now we've kind of scaled back because there is so much Lego news to discuss, and we find ourselves getting caught up in that discussion and it being a good conversation, not only for us, but something that people would enjoy as well. And so we're basically a Lego news show at this point, but it's also our goofy personalities that are thrown into the mix, and we just have a lot of fun. But we get into weird rabbit holes that we don't fully ever find our way out of, and it's always interesting to listen, let me tell you.
It's a really fun show. Like, I can vouch for that. It is a great time. You'll laugh a lot. All the dynamics are very fun. And like you said, it is, I think, like now you guys are going more into news stuff, like you said, but it's still like a show. But some more of the previous episodes, I guess the majority of the previous episodes actually, have very much been like, I guess, more of like a show. You're right, because you guys often do like activities, things like trivia time and brick investments time, where like, you know, you guys look at Lego investments, which has been a really interesting segment, and you guys do a lot more other like fun interactive things like that. And then it's more of a show, really. Like, it's rather than just like a traditional podcast like this one where it's just a few people talking. It's like you guys are, it's an experience. There we go. The Stud Bud, it's an experience.
The Stud Bud show is an experience.
It's an amazing
5 stars
experience.
Rated by Doodle Bricks.
Exactly. Highly recommend you check it out.
I would say also, even though we've been doing a lot more news lately because there is so much that's coming out that we want to talk about with Lego, we do talk about all of it. So if there's something you like, we talk about it. And every once in a while, we'll also have a guest on and talk about them and their interaction and connectivity to the Lego community as a whole. And that's a lot of fun. But even though we're only talking about news, I still find that we go down the different conversations of Lego investing and past releases. I mean, I remember talking about the Indiana Jones theme when it just was releasing, and we were talking about how much the older sets are going for now, and taking a look back and kind of comparing them with the newer ones and thinking if they're better or worse. So we get into those conversations if we have the time to, but it's a lot of Brad complaining about Ninjago and Monkey Kid, and I try to be the serious one. I try to be the one that kind of keeps the show going because sometimes we get very far from the path. Sometimes Zane takes us down a different way than we had expected. You never know what we'll be doing that night. That's the truth. So you can tune in. That's the fun of it. You can tune in every Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern time. We have a lot of fun. But
awesome.
No, in truth be told, what the Stud Buds podcast really is at this point is it's for friends in the Lego community who enjoy talking about Lego.
All right.
That's what it is. That's what it is, because it's the highlight of my week when I get to talk to my friends about this, because my family doesn't care. My other friends don't care, but these guys do, and the viewers do, and it's a nice way for us to develop interaction with the community as well on that end.
Absolutely. No, I think that's a really great way to word it. It's a lot of fun, honestly. So yeah, you guys know you can go check that out. I will say also, if you are like me and you get triggered when Brad trashes on Ninjago and Monkey Kid, listen to his TFOL Talk episode, because he actually gives it a fair chance there. It's a very good one. As you can see, I'm a very big Ninjago and Monkey Kid fan.
I can.
But yeah.
I mean, I like it. Just because I don't buy it doesn't mean that I'm not like excited to see those new sets.
Yeah.
I loved looking at the new Ninjago City Markets.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yes.
I think it's cool. I think it's a little, well, I'd need to build it and have it in person. It seems small to me, but it's hard to be able to tell.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying, though?
Exactly.
Like, it's okay to be a fan of other things, but not buy it. And
Yeah.
I think Brad can be very opinionated sometimes. And
But that's okay because like well, that's all right to be opinionated. Like he also respects other people's opinions. Like he said on his episode. Sometimes he like plays it up a little bit just for the fun of it as well. So
Right.
yeah, I know. Anyways, yeah, Stud Buds is a fantastic show, podcast experience. Go check it out.
It's honestly, it's the hardest thing to describe because you just have to
is.
watch it. Like,
Yeah.
it's hard for me to find the words to explain what Stud Buds is because it's just a vibe, man.
Yeah. It's just a vibe, man. Matt Mellish 2023. Exactly. I love that. No, that's a good way to describe.
No, and if you go back and rewatch that, I am struggling to find the words. So
Yeah.
Go
check out the Stud Buds. You'll have a great time.
The truth is, Mr. Doodle Bricks, is that a lot of the Stud Buds is Matt Mellish trying to juggle how do I navigate through this right now?
Hey, I'm amazed that you guys have recently been able to keep each episode to like an hour and a half-ish. Because if I was on there with like 4 people, the show would be like 12 hours long. Like, yeah.
It's been fun.
Yeah. Oh my god, that's amazing. So, also, how did the Stud Buds start as well? How'd that whole thing happen?
Oh, yeah, of course. So, way back when I first started getting into the whole Lego TikTok sphere, I got a message from a gentleman by the name of Brick Blaze online. He does a YouTube live stream. It's not a podcast. It's a live stream. It's chill. It's build and chat. So, you know, it's not necessarily the most professional in terms of like having segments and being able to make sure everybody has a say and all that. Like, it's, you hang out with your friends. I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
No, not
I think
at
there's
all.
plenty of space for that in the Lego community. But he invited me on to chat about TikTok and Lego, and I had a good time. But Brad was on that show. He was on as a guest as well, and that was my first interaction with him. And funny enough, Brad had said before, well, okay. Funny enough, Brad, after that show, said to me, you know, I've seen your content, and honestly, I'm not the biggest fan. But after being able to chat with you, I have a lot more respect for where you're coming from because I finally understand what your plan is and how you view content, and I appreciate it. And that was nice. And then him and I started talking more on these streams because I kept returning to hang out with these guys. This was kind of my first real interaction with people online in the Lego space. So it was like a whole new world was just unlocked for me. They eventually had Zane, Block Studios, on, and we got to talking to Ethan at a later point, I believe. I'm not sure if he was on the Brick Blaze show or not. Maybe we all were. And we were all on a call eventually talking one night, and we all just said, what if we did a show together? That was a bit more professional than this one in terms of like how we orient what our broadcast, what our show, what our stream consists of, and in terms of the topics and the conversations that we're having. And it's more managed rather than just going live and chatting with friends, even though that's kind of also what it's turned into.
It's a good mixture.
Right. And so it was really those streams that allowed us all to meet, and then we took our idea for doing something amongst us four and ran with it.
I see. So, like, the meeting of all you guys was really, like, natural. Like, it was really just by happenstance, I guess, that this whole thing started. Just like, hey, what if we just start a show? And it's really cool to see like how it started like that, and now what it's become through that, I guess.
Right. Yeah. No, it literally is just four friends talking about Lego, and that's what it's always been in a sense. Like, we all kind of developed this friend group at one time, and then we went on from there to do this thing, and it's been kind of crazy how long we've kept it up. You know, a lot of podcasts, a lot of live streams are fast to start and quick to fail, but this has truly been held together by our friendship. Like, I know that sounds extremely cheesy to say, but it's
Nah,
true because
it really is.
it's like any friend group as well. You know, offline we get into arguments and we have, you know, real world friend conversations, and we end up, you know, solving our problems because we are friends at the end of the day, and we continue on. But if we didn't have that bond to begin with, who knows? We might not still be doing this thing.
Yeah.
And that's my advice is, like, if you're going to do something online with other people, make sure that you are really good friends and that you outline things ahead of time in terms of what the scope is that you're trying to achieve and what your vision is for it. Like, I don't know. I see a lot of people who have had friendships end because of business collaborations and partnerships and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
We don't really treat the Stud Buds like a business. We just keep it casual, keep it fun, and that's what makes the show so special.
I think that's really, really amazing that, like, you guys have figured out that sweet spot of, like, keeping it casual enough so, like, it doesn't turn to, like, a business thing, but still making it, like, fun content, right? And I think you guys are a great example of one thing that I think I say a lot, or I haven't said a lot online, I don't think, but I say it a lot generally, which is that Lego, it's like, it's so much more than just, like, you know, a toy thing, because it creates connections and bonds. So you guys originally became friends over Lego. You guys, like, became friends because of Lego, but it went beyond that, right? It's like you have other things.
Yes.
You can talk about a whole bunch of other things with each other and be friends completely outside of Lego as well. And I think that's really
Right.
amazing.
And it was really cool at Brickford, Virginia, when we were all four in person. And who knows, you know, like I mentioned before, Zane's got a lot of responsibilities right now, and he's got a kid on the way, and that's amazing. But unfortunately, that also will make it harder for us to hang out with him. And, you know, each of us are getting older as well, and it might be harder for us to find a time for us to meet up in person again. And so I look at Brickford, Virginia as being a very sweet time for us to hang out in person for the first and hopefully not last time. We did a live show. Well, it wasn't live. We did a pre-recorded show in our hotel there, and that was nice. It was very different than being online, but it was the same energy. And, you know, it's funny when you meet someone online and then you see them in person. You wonder if it's going to feel the same. But it was. It was like we had known each other for years. And I think that's really cool.
I'm really glad to hear that. That's amazing. And I think that really is kind of one of the, I guess, concerns about, you know, meeting people online. Are they going to be the same person in person as they are online? And I'm really glad to hear that, you know, that was the case with you guys. That's, I guess, like, that you guys were just your authentic selves the entire way, despite whether you were with each other in person or not, you know?
Right. Right.
That's lovely.
Yeah, no, Brad still does the same little things that annoys us, and Ethan is Ethan's a goofball. Zane is even 10 times crazier in person, but
That's what makes it fun. Exactly.
we are ourselves, right?
Exactly.
And I think a lot of people online they're a different version of themselves.
Right. Authenticity is really important, I think, when it comes to this kind of stuff. Actually, with this kind of stuff, what I'm talking about in life, authenticity is just really, like, important. That's lovely.
I think a lot of people want to be, well, even me as a perfectionist, right? Like, I want to be the best version of myself at all times, but that doesn't keep me from, like, not caring when I'm
Yeah.
in public and meeting people and just like genuinely being me and saying how I feel. I think a lot of people hold a part of themselves back because they're afraid of judgment. They're afraid of how other people might judge them. Maybe they're judging themselves in reality.
Yeah. Oh, I definitely get that. I'm that happens with me sometimes, so I definitely see what you're saying there. But that's I think like there's a really big benefit to just being yourself at all times, regardless of any kind of judgment
Yeah.
or things like that. As long as being yourself isn't a murderer, like maybe don't be yourself in that case. But in any other case, being yourself is like just the way to go. Okay, so if Lego was going to start focusing more on teens, like how they have with this whole Adults Welcome campaign, what do you think they could do for TFOLs?
Well, it's hard to put myself into the shoes of my younger self. I think the one thing that TFOLs struggle with, honestly, and correct me if I'm wrong, because you are one, is because I'm thinking back. I think I think what TFOLs struggle with is sticking with the hobby. Because when I look back to when I was developing as an adult, going from a teen into adulthood, or going from being a kid into gaining the responsibilities of life, work, school, girls, Lego was put on the back burner. So it was hard for me to keep it in focus. I don't know how Lego could affect that in a positive way, but like maybe just in general, because it's hard when you're in school to try to have enough money and time for Lego. Maybe making more sets that are a lower value, but they're still just as good of a display, because it seems like that's the mixture, right? Like maybe finding a small Star Wars or Marvel set. I'm thinking for myself what I would want. A small Star Wars or Marvel set that I can easily buy. I don't need all of the space in the world for it. I can put it in my college dorm. Granted, I'm an adult at that point. I'm no longer a TFOL. But I'm thinking like, as someone who is going through those stages of their life, right? Because life takes you everywhere and you steer from the path that you're on very easily. I think it would be more valuable instead of being bombarded with $800 sets, even $200 sets. It gets a bit chaotic to keep track of what you want versus what you can afford.
Yeah.
So having enough that are geared towards that demographic as a price point, and then fleshing out maybe what the sets there could be, might be beneficial to TFOLs. Am I wrong in saying that?
No, I think you're really right in saying that, because I think a common trend that I've noticed when I ask people this question is that with both TFOLs and AFOLs is that a lot of them seem to say that like what they're saying is that the adults welcome sets seem to cater pretty well to TFOLs because they're more advanced, I guess. And I've seen a decent amount of my friends who aren't into Lego like whatsoever having bought sets from that line, or the more like the botanical line, for example, things like that. I'll just see sometimes they'll post a picture of that and I'm like, you bought a set or something like that. So I think that that's definitely a really good way of doing it, what you're suggesting there, with smaller sets that are more affordable but still like look good as display sets more, because I think the matter of the fact is a lot of teens are self-conscious about having toys or or like things like that. And while of course, we know that it's totally fine to enjoy that, a lot of people still either are in a space or they just can't enjoy that stuff without being just completely what's the word? Just like people making fun of them constantly about it, or they aren't confident enough in themselves to, I guess, embrace that. So I think that something like that would be really good, because they're still getting to enjoy Lego, but to everyone else it looks like just a sleek display piece, but it doesn't have to be $800. Kind of like that Superstar Destroyer set, the small one that came out recently.
Yes.
Things like that.
Yes.
That's really good.
Yes.
Or they could do things like a small Iron Man bust, kind of like what Ransom Fern did. He did like an alternate build of the Iron Man buildable figure to be just like a sleek bust. Something along those lines, I think, would be really good.
I think the helmet sets are a good product for
Yeah.
TFOLs because they, if they're Star Wars Marvel fans, or
Yeah.
if they fit into what you enjoy,
Exactly.
because they look cool for the most part. They're a nice display piece, and I think people are finally starting to understand that Lego isn't just a toy; it's a lot of other things, and that is one thing I like about the displayable sets. I was trashing on the bigger, more expensive models earlier that are a premium product, but that is showing people that Lego isn't just a childhood toy to put in a box and play with and then throw in the attic years later until your kids want to pull it out and play with it. So I agree with what you said. I think you hit the nail on the head by saying that TFOLs are very self-conscious, and it's important for Lego to be able to cater towards that audience and providing items that are both fun to build, but also pleasing to look at.
Absolutely. It's a balance at the end of the day, I think. Like with everything, it's finding that key balance there.
Yeah. I think, though, it's not wrong for people to want to collect, like, the play sets.
Oh, not
Once
at
again,
all.
going back to that point. Like, I'm trying to think when I was a TFOL, what was I buying?
Yeah.
And it wasn't much, but it was smaller sets. They were small play sets. And it wasn't stuff that I necessarily was going to display. It was kind of like I was just buying stuff to remind myself that I am a Lego fan.
That's interesting.
And
to keep
I didn't
yourself
have
in
to
it.
Yeah, I didn't have to put my toys away. Like, I'm still a kid. I'm an adult, but I'm still a kid.
Kid at heart,
inside.
exactly.
Yeah. And that's something that Disney also taught me when I was working there. It's like, kids of all ages exist. And I guess I'm trying to make the point that, I guess, what is a TFOL? 13 to 17?
I'd say 13 to 19. Like, for me...
13 to 19?
For me, teen stays within, like, the literal teen...
Okay.
Teen range there.
Right,
But,
right.
yeah.
Even so, like, there's a lot happening at that point in your life.
Yeah.
You're developing a lot as an individual and figuring out who you are. And looking back, it's still nice to have things that have always been consistent for you that you enjoy to keep with you. So I think it's honestly like it's a crucial age
Yeah.
for Lego to even think of, because that's when people start putting things away and saying, oh, that was me when I was a kid, but this is me as an adult.
Absolutely.
But having reminders that it's okay to be an adult who builds Lego is important.
Yeah. No, I think that's really fantastic what you're saying there. It's a huge transitional period, and me being in it, I can say that for sure. And like what you say about having something there that's like constant, like that constant there that's like reminding people that of the things that they enjoyed, right, and not necessarily having to let go of that. For me, I mean, one, that's Lego, but more specifically, one of those things for me is Ninjago. That Ninjago has been there for me since like really early on. So I was about 7 is when I got into it, and I've continued to enjoy it to this day just as much. It's like it's one of the main constants in my life, funnily enough. So like, and I can say that's really important. Like Ninjago, honestly, really defined who I am as a person in a lot of ways. Like as a person, that had a big impact on me, because even if I didn't watch it as much, it still like stuck with me, right? And it still tied me back to like, hey, I can still enjoy the stuff that I enjoyed back then. I don't have to get rid of it because I still enjoy it now, and there's nothing wrong with that. Like it's hard to put it into words. Do you get what I'm saying?
It is. No, I completely agree, because I had this exact same experience with Star Wars.
Yeah.
So when I was a kid, I love Star Wars, the movies, but then, watching Clone Wars every single week, and to put it mildly, I went to a Lutheran private school, and I was bullied for a large portion of my early elementary school days, and having Clone Wars and Lego to fall back on when I had a bad day, but you know what, a new Clone Wars episode was coming out, and I was really excited for that. It gave me something to look forward to, and something to escape to from the day that I didn't want to be thinking about at that moment.
Yeah.
It was really nice. And I don't know, I remember thinking back and just really appreciating that there was something that I could, even just for myself, be passionate about. Like, not necessarily like, oh, I'm such a big Star Wars fan, but like just having a story to keep up with, to follow, and to care about, with characters that I could see myself in, and that taught me something more important through their experiences. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I know
that's
exactly
what the
what you're
best.
saying.
Those are what the best stories can do, and they can inspire you to be a better person, or show you maybe what flaws that you have, or the flaws of the world, and teach you something about life that life doesn't necessarily show you, but from the character's reality that they are developing.
Yeah, like being able to get a better grasp of reality from how it's being portrayed in these stories, kind of, right?
Yes,
Exactly. No.
You made it nice and concise for me.
Thanks. But no, I agree with what you said there. It's like, it's a safe space, right? And the fact that it's been there with you like for that long, it's like a consistent safe space, right? And you can just always come back to it. You know you're going to enjoy it, and you can escape into that world, into the characters, and you have history with it as well. That makes a lot of sense, honestly.
Yeah. And then, like I mentioned before at the top of this, like, Lego has also always been there for me, and it's consistently continued that passion I've had for Star Wars with a product that I can put on my shelf and have an experience with of my own, because I remember when I got all my Lego sets, I remember who gave them to me, and like those moments of opening the box and putting them together and playing with them.
Wow.
That sticks with me. I think that sticks with a lot of people. And so, going back to the question, like, as a TFOL, it's important to remember that it's okay to not let go of all of that. Maybe parts of it, because I don't play with my Lego the same way I played with it as a kid, of course. I don't have a huge Star Wars battlefield throughout my room that I'm throwing gunships at, and
that would be pretty cool, though. Like, your whole room, just like a whole layout like that.
Right. I don't do that as an adult anymore. I did as a kid, but there's a different way that you can play as you grow older, and progress through life. And there's different things about Lego that you'll appreciate along the way as well. Maybe you'll like Technic. Maybe you'll like the ability to control things with all the different gears, and maybe you're wanting to be an engineer and you see Lego as something else than you did as a child. Maybe you want to be an artist and Lego becomes your medium for creating a sculpture. We all progress throughout life, and I think some things are worth holding on to.
Definitely. Very wise words there, I have to say. It grows with you, right? Like Lego, it can grow with you and adapt along with you. And I think the same goes for things, like the Clone Wars for you, Star Wars generally, Ninjago for me, all these different things. They grow with you, and you can always come back to them, but still feel like, I guess, you belong there because it can grow with you.
And then it's crazy because you also find other people that share that same experience.
Exactly.
And that's how you find friends in places that you would never have expected.
Right? It's the magic of being able to share that thing that you enjoy with other people who also enjoy it to the same degree as you do.
Correct.
That's amazing. All right, so we're going to kind of do a mix of two. So the Brickaniac asks what your favorite Lego set of 2023 is so far. And at 17, and a lot of numbers after that, I'm not going to attempt to say that, I'm sorry, man, says, what is your favorite set? So favorite set of 2023 so far, and just favorite set generally.
Favorite set of 2023 is the A-frame cabin, which
Ooh.
is a random answer for someone who is a big Marvel Star Wars fan. But truth be told, that set, I don't go into other themes very often. I don't branch out, but that set is really cool. And if you have the desire remotely to buy it and you have the money, wait till it goes on discount. I recommend everybody waiting till a set goes on discount before they get it, but that's one that I would definitely say is worth the money.
Quick, but I have to say something. It's an A-frame cabin. You don't usually branch out. I'm sorry. Had to say that. Anyways. But
and then the second one was my favorite set of all time.
Yeah, just generally.
Okay. So I'll make it short, but my favorite set of all time is not necessarily my favorite model.
Okay.
For a set. My favorite set of all time is the Death Star that I got way back in, I think, 2012, around that era. It was $400. It was the one that was then remade.
Yeah.
With updated figures, and it has the full interior. That set is so special to me because I was looking through an old Lego magazine. My mom was peering over my shoulder, and I said, I want that set. And it was the dropship with AT-OT, Clone Walker. And I really wanted it. It was $250, and I had just saved up enough money. And she's like, well, do you want that one? And right beside it was the Death Star. Look at that. That's really cool. And I'm like, yeah, I would love to get it, but there's no way I can save up $400 for that. I've just made it to $250, which is the most that I've ever spent on a Lego set. And she's like, well, why don't you continue saving and you get something that you would really like to put on your shelf? And I'm sitting there thinking, my mom's telling me to save up more money for Lego, which is not something that's ever happened in the past. So I'm like, although I really want the dropship with AT-OT, I can always go back and get that. I can always try to save up that money again. If I decide that I don't want the Death Star, I can go back and get it. So I got the Death Star. I saved up enough money. I worked very, very hard to get the appropriate amount, and it taught me the value of $1. I think a lot of people out there should work for what they have because they'll find that it's more rewarding when they complete that goal. And so I was lucky enough to get the set. I built it. I really liked it. I managed to also, when I got it, I didn't build it all at once. I did 2 bags a day for a full week in order to get the most out of my money and really appreciate the process. Then that was my favorite set for so long because it was my biggest set that I owned. I never got the dropship with AT-OT, and I always regret that because of what that set is nowadays.
Yeah.
But the set has a story for me, and it has meaning that goes beyond what the model is. A lot of people make fun of it being a gray dollhouse for Star Wars. And yeah, I see that, but it has a lot of playability and a lot of value in what the build consisted of.
I see.
But yeah, that's the full story of why the Death Star is my favorite set, because it taught me so much about how to save up for something, and it made me really appreciate that process.
Yeah, I love that's your favorite. I mean, one, it's just cool, but more so because it has a story behind it, and it taught you a lesson as well. That's just really lovely, honestly. It shows I guess it kind of goes beyond just the set, right? It's the story behind it, I guess. Yeah, it's just
right.
That's really cool. At 17, also asked, who is your favorite set designer?
Ooh.
Do you have a favorite set designer?
I don't know them very well, honestly. I can't say that I do. Say that I do. Now, I am paying more attention to that nowadays as an adult. As a kid, it's a cool Lego set. That's all you see.
They appear from the Lego tree. They nobody designs them. They just appear.
Exactly. So I can't say that I necessarily have a favorite designer just because I don't know them all. So I don't want to leave someone out. And I don't know them by name either.
That's fair.
But I'll tell you what, the Ambassador Network the Ambassador Network has made me care more about it, because every once in a while we'll do like a roundtable discussion where they invite some of the people who are receiving that set to ask the designer a couple questions. And that's been a really cool experience. It's taught me a lot about what goes into that process that people aren't thinking of. So when you have someone on the internet complain about something, they're not understanding maybe what went into that. They're just, it's very easy to look at something and say, well, I don't like that, and nitpick little things. But overall, it gives you a lot more appreciation for a product when you can sit there and ask the designer a couple questions, and
True.
he kind of gives you an understanding of what was in his mind when he made the product. For instance, the Little Mermaid Ariel clamshell set.
Yeah.
That clamshell is not in the film. That was something that the designer came up with as a layout to put these scenes inside of as a palette that gave him room to build it out. And so I bet a lot of people are going to be upset when that clamshell is not in the film. But when he explained it to me, they got images from the Little Mermaid film, but they weren't given an image of like the royal palace or anything substantial at that scale. So he incorporated what he was given and built it out from there.
I see.
So people will complain saying, "Oh, Lego did this, this, and this, and it's the designer's fault." Whereas it kind of goes back to Disney. This is what they gave them. This was the process that was followed, and this is the story of how the product was created.
Yeah, it's good to have that insight, I guess. I mean, I guess it's difficult for us, like even me, who wants to become a set designer, to kind of understand that fully because, of course, you weren't there designing it. But it is good to go into critiquing a set, remembering that the designer doesn't have full control over what happens in the set, or there's usually a reason behind certain things. Now, that's also not an excuse for designers to be lazy either, and I hope they don't take advantage of that. But I think it's good to be able to notice when something might be there for a reason or might not be a choice that the designer had control over. Like there's a really good series by a 3-episode series, forgot who the guy's name is, there's an image on screen, who designed sets for Bionicle, and he takes you through the whole design process of the sets that he worked on and all the behind the scenes working, and he talks a lot about how he would have done this set and the other that people had a problem with. Like in the final product, people had a problem with it and he tried to do it different ways, but because of budget or corporate meddling or whatever it be, he wasn't able to do that. So it's a really interesting perspective to get. But yeah.
What I try to keep in mind is exactly what you pointed out. What are the restrictions that might have led the designer to making the decisions that they did? And I wish that more people looked at Lego sets as somewhat of an artwork rather than just like this was a product that they came up with and then sold. Because a lot of energy and effort went into it that you might not see. And I'm sure there are some lazy designers out there just in general, whether they're at Lego or not. But, as long as they're putting their effort into creating something that they hope people enjoy, that's what matters most.
Absolutely. I agree. From Maticus Bricks, he asks, if you had to build a mock based on any Lego minifigure, what would it be?
Maticus knows that I wish I could do more mocks, but I don't have enough time.
Yeah.
Lego minifigure. I'm thinking of the CMFs. I'm looking at them over on my shelf. As much as Brad loves the orc, I still might say that one, because I would love to build a Lego castle of some kind.
Ooh.
And it would be really cool to build something for the orc or the falconer. Maybe one of the knights as well.
That
I forget
would be
exactly which this one is.
Oh, the knight from series, what was that? It's the something knight. I have that guy too. It was from an old series back in 2012, the silver one, whatever that was.
If Brad was lilistening, if Brad was here, he'd be telling us exactly what it is. He's probably screaming at his computer.
I'm sorry, Brad.
As we speak, but
he has a spider sense. He knows when someone's not talking about castle stuff correctly. It's like the castle sense. He's having like that moment right now.
Right, exactly. He's having an aneurysm. But the truth of the matter is, I would love to build a Lego castle. It's just finding the time to do something like that.
Yeah,
Everybody wants to build a Lego castle. Who doesn't want to build a Lego castle?
I want to build a Lego castle. That's fair. All right. So I think the last fan submitted question we're going to ask for this episode. And, Matt will appear in another episode later on when we start doing return episodes. So, people, if your questions were not
Matt
answered
Mellish
in this,
will return.
Matt Mellish will return. Exactly. So, if your question wasn't asked in here, I'm going to save them for the next episode. So, hopefully, it will be asked there if we don't have too many more. So, I think the last one that we're going to actually, I'm going to throw one in here besides the last one. LCM Creations, who you also know, asks, favorite Lego color? Matt, you know what you have to answer here. You know who you have to do it for. You know what you have to do.
My favorite Lego color isn't nougat, though.
Medium nougat.
It's not medium nougat.
Okay.
Zane.
Zane.
So, for those of you who don't know, a part of the Stud Buds show, Block Studios, a.k.a. Zane, every time Ethan the Artisan asks the famous question, what is your favorite Lego color, to one of our guests, Zane answers medium nougat, even though he wasn't even asked the question. He just says it on stream. My favorite color is medium nougat.
The people need to know. The people need to know.
The people, I think they're well aware. I like the greens. It probably changes by the day. Sometimes it's sand green. Sometimes it's olive green. I think today it's dark green. I like dark green.
Cool.
Dark brown. Dark brown is sometimes a good one.
Dark brown. Okay.
Chocolatey about it. I don't know.
Chocolatey, exactly. Chocolatey. Wow. Lego color connoisseur. Exactly. It's a bit of a chocolatey brown. That's cool though.
Well, the truth of the matter is, I like the organic colors. I think the mixture of those in certain boxes is really cool, and I like dark green because it's a bit rarer and you don't see it as often. There's less pieces that it's produced in. So, if I was to make a mock, it would have some dark green, some olive green, some medium nougat.
Some medium nougat, exactly.
In the terrain.
Sounds good. All right. Well, I guess to ask the final question then. I mean, okay, to be fair, you've kind of already answered, already done this tenfold already throughout the entire podcast. In the first 30 minutes, you already dropped some bomb advice. But as a closing question, do you have any advice for TFOLs?
As I mentioned earlier, it's interesting because I always look back on my life I look back on my life and thinking of all the different things that I might change. And I think the thing that I am afraid of most is regret of not doing something that I wish I would have. Or maybe I did it the wrong way and I wish I could go back and change something that I did. So, be your authentic self and live your life without regrets. Because while you're young, it's okay to fail. It's okay to make mistakes. Because through the failure, you're able to grow and learn. And it's important before you're married and have kids to have learned all that you can about who you are and what you want in life, so that whenever you reach the age where you can bestow your wisdom to them, that you can give them the good advice, the best advice that you possibly can, because you lived your life, your experiences to the fullest.
That's absolutely lovely. That's so lovely. That was fantastic.
I mean, I think to end, it's sometimes life will force you down a lot of different paths that you might not expect. And you might wonder, why do I experience this right now? Why am I going through this? Why is this so difficult? Why can't it be easier? And it's easy to get resentful and bitter. But when you realize that that is all a part of the process, and that you will be a better, stronger individual after that, after you've gone through whatever it is that life has in store, it's all meant to be, and you are becoming the person that you're supposed to. So I've felt that way many times in my life. I've been upset and confused and angry, and overall, sometimes there is something better that lies ahead, even when it seems that the grass is always greener on the other side. So don't judge yourself. Just enjoy the process.
That was fantastic, Matt, honestly. And honestly, thank you for that, because I needed to hear that. So thank you. That was amazing.
Of course. No, and thank you so much for allowing me to be on your show. It's my absolute pleasure.
Of course. Thank you so much for coming on, man. It's been an absolutely amazing conversation. I would go for longer, but, I think everyone's going to be tired of listening this long, no matter how amazing it is. We're almost at 3 hours. Well, the uncut version anyways. So, yeah, we'll definitely got to have you on again for another episode. And, yeah, just thank you so much for coming on, Matt. It was awesome having you. And before we end this episode, do you have any social media or other things like that you'd like to plug?
You can follow me on TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, Twitch, Facebook. Also, go check out the Stud Buds on YouTube. We do a live stream every Tuesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. I'm live on Twitch twice a week. I try to, at least. Every Saturday afternoon at 3 p.m. Eastern Time, and every Thursday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Also, check out my Discord server, so that you're up to date on what I'm doing and when I'm going live and when the Stud Buds are going live. All of that. You don't want to miss it.
All right. That sounds good. Well, thank you all so much for watching. It means the world, and I hope you enjoyed. Links to the things and people we talked about will be in the description as always. New episodes now release once every 2 weeks on Tuesdays for TFOL Talk Tuesday, and you can find updates, announcements, and more regarding the podcast over on my Twitter or Instagram, both of which are @DoodleBricks. Anyways, that's all for now, and we'll see you all later.